Second speaker today is Fabien Barati, CEO and co-founder of Emissive, a French immersive studio and agency that was behind projects like Mona Lisa VR and The Enemy. Fabien is also passionate about digital innovation, and he and his team create interactive installations that use virtual reality and augmented reality in entirely new ways. He collaborates with many museums, and this is one of the reasons why he's here today with us, but also corporate clients throughout the world to enhance their mediation, communication, and training capabilities. Fabien, it is a great honor to have you here today with us, and the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you very much, Alexandra, and thank you everyone for the invitation to participate in this event. So I'll try this feature in Zoom. I hope everyone sees me. So I am Fabien Barati. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Emissive. Alexandra, you said it already. Emissive is a company that creates immersive experiences for cultural institutions and for brands since 2005. We are based in Paris, and we work with many different clients, such as the Louvre, Institut du Monde Arabe, but also brands like Hermès, Louis Vuitton, or Rolex, for example. In this presentation, I will explain why I think immersive experiences can solve some of the museum's challenges, and I also give some examples of projects we made, and I also present the future format we are currently developing to answer the museum's needs. But first, I'll try to define what I call an immersive experience. Immersion is being fully visually and audibly immersed in a different time or place than we really are, of course. So it's a virtual world. This virtual world can be realistic or it can be abstract, it doesn't matter. What's important is that with an immersive experience, we really feel we are in a different world, in a different time or space. Sight and hearing are particularly important to feel immersed, of course, but also proprioception, and that's very important. Proprioception is our sense of figuring the position and the movements of our body. In other words, if we can move and interact naturally in a virtual world, we feel immersed in it. Of course, there are different degrees of immersion depending on how efficiently our senses are fooled by the experience. Two of the strengths of an immersive experience, especially in the museum ecosystem, are its capacity to give a context and to engage the visitor. A context is setting the rules of the virtual world we are in by defining a time, a place, a life to a world we understand the objects or the characters that are part of it. So an immersive experience can put us in a world where we will see and comprehend the objects that are part of it because they are in context. And it goes further. Understanding something is also, it also means creating an emotional link with it. That's also very important. An immersive experience is not necessarily digital, of course. Visiting the Versailles Castle is kind of an immersive experience because we see the objects, the furniture in their context. Although it could be even better if we could see them used by the people of that time, of course. Some places with comedians, for example, such as the Betsy Ross House, makes the virtual world even more concrete and understandable. Whereas a museum gallery usually displays works of art out of a visual and audio context. So don't get me wrong, it's neither good or bad. Sometimes it's better to have a neutral environment to apprehend a work of art. But most of the time, it has not been really a choice by the museum, because giving a context is usually not cheap, and also it's easy to end up with something a little awkward sometimes. Engagement, making people commit to something important for, making people to commit to something is very important for concentration and also memorization. It's also generally a way to increase the level of satisfaction, because when you commit to something, you feel responsible for your own action and decisions. So we want to engage the public as much as possible before, during, and after the visit. Deciding to go to a museum, to an exhibition, is committing. Choosing what I want to see in a big museum is also committing, but that's basically all the engagement you get in most museums. An immersive experience will help a lot in engaging the public, especially interactive ones, because when you are interacting, you cease to be passive, you are part of the story, and that's what we are looking for here. There are different ways to engage visitors through interaction. You have exploration, games, or social interactions. Good immersive experiences that are capable of creating engagement with this kind of interactions will drive more visitors to the museum. It will enhance the visit. It will also make it easier to share knowledge for the museum. It will create good memories, and it will be also possible to engage visitors after the visit by sharing souvenirs, for example, on social media. So engagement is a virtuous circle. Let's now talk specifically about digital immersive experiences. Digital immersive experiences can be done in a number of ways with augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, or even projection mapping. The goal is still the same as before, is to make the visitors feel they are in another time or place. Digital also makes it easy to immerse the visitors, thanks, of course, to the last technologies with the computers, peripherals, displays, and also because it's getting cheaper. There's really no limit to the world we can create in a digital experience. It also means that museums can easily build a context for what they want to show and for what they want to teach. So very quickly, let's see what the main differences are between immersive devices, at least the one we can have access to. Virtual reality first is usually, virtual reality usually uses headsets, virtual reality headsets, and it's considered the most immersive device because you are completely cut from the real world. Augmented reality and mixed reality, they are blending reality and virtual. So you see your real environment with a layer of virtual information on top. And it can be achieved with different devices, from a smartphone to a mixed reality headset. Projection, especially big ones, are another way to immerse visitors. There is the example of TeamLab or Atelier des Lumières, but it lacks 3D. You have also 360 videos that also use headsets, but they are less immersive than virtual reality because there is no interaction or proprioception. So the choice between those technologies depends on the cost, the available space, the desired stream of visitors, also the ease of installation and maintenance, and how much we want to immerse and to engage the visitors. In digital immersive experiences, you also have different degrees of immersion. For example, visual immersion is stronger with stereoscopy. Stereoscopy means that we see the content in 3D, and it's stronger also with a wide field of view. It's stronger when there is a higher resolution, when there is a higher frame rate. It's better when it fools your sense in a natural way. So let's see now a first example of an immersive experience. Mona Lisa Beyond the Glass is a virtual reality project released 1 year ago in the Louvre as part of the Leonardo da Vinci exhibition. It's an 8-minute experience, mono user, seated, in which we discover the most famous painting in the world in a totally new way, by meeting Mona Lisa as if she was really in front of us. So we learn about her, who she is, why she's dressed like this, why she has this pose, and so on. And everything is illustrated by Mona Lisa as a virtual person, and also with comparisons with other Da Vinci paintings. So this was a fantastic collaboration with the Louvre and HTC Vive Arts, and we worked very closely with the curators to give life to Mona Lisa. It was not easy, I can assure you, because there was a lot of research and interpretation to do, but it was very rewarding. Thousands of visitors could try this experience during the exhibition, and a lot more online, because the experience is available for free on virtual reality stores, as well as on smartphone stores with a 360 video. So of course, a 360 video is less immersive than the real virtual reality experience you can have at the Louvre or on the VR stores, but it's still a good way to reach people worldwide. Another example is a project called The Enemy. It's also a virtual reality production, but this one is multi-user and free roaming. Free roaming means that visitors equipped with a virtual reality headset can walk in a big empty space wherever they want. In this experience, visitors meet fighters from different conflicts in the world. These fighters tell the visitors about their lives and hopes. Those are real people. We just clone them in 3D because they look directly at us, they wave at us. We really have the feeling they're here. There are 3 virtual rooms in the experience, 1 room for each conflict, and the visitors walk from room to room and from fighters to fighters freely. This experience is 45 minutes long, and it's emotionally very strong. It was a co-production. It was imagined by Karim Ben Khalifa and co-produced by Camera Lucida, France Télévisions, ONF, Département, and Emissive. And since its release in 2017, it was operated in different places, such as the Institut du Monde Arabe in Paris, the MIT Museum in Boston, or Centre Phi in Montreal. And to attend The Enemy, there is a dedicated ticketing. So, do those 2 immersive experiences can answer the needs of museums, and how? And exactly what are those needs? So first, I will try to assess the mission of the museums. One of the most important mission is, along with preservation, is to give people access to culture and to spread it as largely and efficiently as possible. It sounds simple, but it's definitely not an easy task. What they choose to exhibit and how is really a never-ending process, because it's directly linked to the evolution of our society. And so museums have to adapt. But adaptation requires funds and innovation. The problem is that a lot of museums lack both. Revenue-wise, many were on precarious balance before the crisis. Now it's a very real problem. According to ICOM, between 6 and 30% of the museums worldwide will close, and 1/3 of the museums expect to lose half of their income. Innovation is also, in my opinion, too often the poor relation of museums. It's not necessarily innovation in new technology, it's innovation in cultural mediation. And I see a lot of museums entrenched in old-fashioned museography. Although in all honesty, it's currently changing for the best. But changing is an investment, and it's also linked to revenue. So what the museums need are new ways to generate revenue and new ways to share their knowledge and collection. So here are some things that I think can answer at least part of this need. They are relevant for museums and also for cultural sites. And then we will see how immersive experiences can effectively match those ideas. First, museums can work on reaching more people farther and wider. They can do that with a better promotion. Museums have incredible assets that make up their collections. They have artifacts and work of art with awesome stories. So there's no reason why pop culture licenses should be more successful than a century-old painting. This is really a matter of storytelling. And museums, they are full of incredible stories. The museum names, they are also effective brands that are in most cases unexploited. Museums, they can also reach more people through duplication and expansion. There are now ways to reach people at the other side of the world very efficiently, like creating an exhibition or letting pieces of art, but at the old-fashioned way. We are also seeing expansion, like the Louvre or Centre Pompidou in new buildings in Abu Dhabi or Shanghai. But of course, the most easiest way is with digitalization, website, applications, digital installation. As an example, there are a lot of museums now that are providing free virtual tours for of their collection with 360 pictures or 360 videos. And this is also an interesting way to show the collections that are hidden in the museum's basements. Secondly, innovation. Society evolves, people are changing, and there are some ways to attract the public who's always seeking new experiences, especially the younger ones. Museum should work on context and more largely on storytelling. They should use emotion and sensation. Museum collections, cultural sites that deserve to be lived rather than explained. So they have to create an emotional link to create sensations. This is the new way to reach the Stendhal syndrome. And this is a very effective way to share educational information as well. Sharing our experience with others is also essential nowadays. Being on site with our loved ones or remotely through social networks. So social really has to be developed in cultural institutions. As I said before, it's important to invite the public to be active, not passive. And for that, museums should create interactions that will lead to engagement. Another good solution to involve the public is to adapt the visit to every and each person by customizing a part of their experience of their visit. Finally, let's talk about income. Revenue comes usually from very different places. Ticketing, public or private funding, sponsoring, stores, or even renting for events. The museums, they are not equals in this matter. It depends on their size, depends on their objectives, on their own ownership. It's very different. But in any case, new ways to generate revenue seem necessary. Increasing the visit, broadening the audience is the most obvious way to generate revenue through ticketing. All the different points I described before should have an impact on attraction and the number of visits. The digital world creates also new solutions to earn money. Applications should stay free, of course, but the virtual visit could be accessible with a fee, especially when there is an original content inside. Co-production of a digital installation, especially an immersive experience, is also a very interesting way to generate income. It can be seen as a temporary exhibition with a dedicated ticketing and something that can be deployed elsewhere for a fee and a part of the operation revenue. So those are a few ideas. And now let's see how the two examples I gave before match. Mona Lisa works very well in promoting and exporting the Louvre's brand and expertise with its offline and online versions, especially during the crisis, the lockdown. And it also participated in the success of the Da Vinci exhibition which set the record of 1.1 million visitors in the Louvre. This experience is also an effective way of understanding the painting through an original point of view. Because when you're in front of Mona Lisa, visitors are involved, they listen, they watch, and they even develop a certain affection for the works of art because they get to know it personally. It's not a social experience and it's linear, so the visitors in this case are passive. And the Louvre's policy makes it totally free to experiment, so this is not generating a new revenue, although it could. The enemy is not promoting or expanding a museum brand because it was not produced by a museum, although it adds to the innovative image of the venues where it was operated, such as the MIT Museum or the Phi Center. The enemy definitely shares knowledge through emotion, as it is indeed very emotional. It's social, but to a certain extent, because there is no really social interactions in this experience. It's very engaging. Visitors have really to commit strongly by moving freely to meet the fighters. The scenario in the enemy adapts to the behavior of the visitor, so it's a personalized experience. And the enemy is a way to generate revenue, just like a temporary exhibition does with a dedicated ticketing. It's interesting to note that classic temporary exhibitions grow more and more difficult to operate because of the prices of transportation and insurance. Digital experiences can replace this income. Now I'll present you a new kind of immersive experience that we are deploying, still using virtual reality, that we think can answer even more of museums and cultural sites' needs. For us, it's a whole new way to discover our cultural heritage. So if you ever wanted to go back in time and visit the Egyptian pyramids or walk in the streets of Pompeii, it's now possible. It's called Immersive Expeditions. So now I will ask you to imagine. You are together with your friends or family, and you are all equipped with an immersive device. The next second, you will find yourselves in Egypt, and for the next 45 minutes, you're going to explore together the Khufu pyramid. You will learn about its history, its architecture, about its purpose, and you'll be able to discover areas close to the public and even go back in time 4,500 years ago to attend the funerals of King Khufu. And you will do all of that by walking freely inside a large space and in collaboration. In collaboration, that means that you see the members of your family and you can communicate with them the whole time. So with this format, with Immersive Expeditions, you get the sensation of a real visit, but you are able to do and learn much more than in reality. This experience already exists in Paris. It's a success. So we are now developing this format worldwide. Our goal with the Immersive Expedition, you got it, it's to export, to highlight and preserve our cultural heritage. It's also a way to offer a very original and unique educational experience with our loved ones and with a lot of emotions and sensations. And for the cultural institutions, for the museums, it's a way to increase traffic, to attract a new public and to generate revenue. The main innovation is, you saw it, it's being immersed together in a highly realistic virtual environment where we are free to move. So I have to shrink a little bit. Each immersive expedition is also the result of significant scientific research with experts in history, in architecture and cultural mediation. So it's thorough, but it's also full of emotions and sensations. One of the big advantages of the technology is that it allows a high stream of visitors, and that's very important, especially in the virtual reality context, where sometimes you can only have a few people at the same time. But with immersive expeditions, you can have, for example, 150,000 visitors a year in a 300 square meter space. So it means also that it can generate important revenue. It's easy to deploy, to operate, to maintain, and most importantly, it's easy to use for the public. There is no button, there is nothing. You just use your body as in real life. So we just need an empty space. And there is also a creative business model that is based on the sharing of ticketing revenue. So we don't ask the museums to invest a lot to be able to operate and to get those revenue. So now we are partnering with cultural institutions all over the world to deploy this new format, the Immersive Expeditions, and also to co-produce new Immersive Expeditions. Because for us, we think that the future really lies in giving context to a collection and creating an emotional link with it. And also because there is a strong need in social experience and innovation. Just to conclude, I need just 30 seconds. I'd like to tackle a topic that's often taboo in the museum ecosystem, which is entertainment. This word it's somewhat disregarded by certain institutions, whereas it's actually part of the museum's history. It's the past, because at the beginning, museums were virtually the only places where people could see pictures. It's the present, because to learn about culture is actually entertaining for a lot of people. Going to a museum is a leisure in the vast majority of times. Entertainment is also the future because of everything I said before about immersive experiences and their role in the museum ecosystem. Immersive experiences are highly entertaining. That means they can drive a bigger audience, they can share knowledge efficiently, and they can generate new revenue. So that's it. If you want more information, you can go on our website, and we also have a white paper about this specific topic. So don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fabien. It was a really inspiring presentation, and also it gave us a lot of insights about how immersive experiences might work. And I want to encourage our members of our audience to ask questions, but I see there is already one question from our audience member. So let me just read it out loud for you. The question from Karolina Wojtowicz is, what kind of VR gear are you using for the projects? I saw backpack computers with wired VR. Why not using, for example, light wireless Oculus Quest or something cheaper for users? That's the question from Carolina. Would you like to answer it?
Yeah, so we are not bound to a specific hardware. We adapt to the situation. For example, in the Immersive Expedition, we use a backpack because we need power. We need computing power. That's very important. We cannot choose yet an Oculus Quest, for example, because it's not powerful enough. In the future, it will be. In the future, we also aim to use cloud computing and 5G. So you have big computers doing all their part and streaming I would say the video, but the interactions to the users directly. So for Mona Lisa, it's a different kind of headset, and it really depends. It really depends on the space. Sometimes we use a different technology because there is more lighting or less lighting. Sometimes if we want to be seated or stay in a very small area, we use a tethered headset. And sometimes when we want to be multi-user and cover a very big area, we choose something different. So we really have to adapt and that's also good because like every year you have a lot of different headsets that are released, that are being released.
Thank you so much. And I hope it answers the question. And I have a more general one, because when I was doing research in Polish historical museums, one of the results of my research was that the audiences were really like striving for like immersive storytelling. And what was actually one of the main things they were talking about, I did interviews in 4 Polish historical museums, was that they want this experience of like traveling back in time and this emotional engagement that is related with that. So I wonder, do you have some feedback from your audiences from the immersive experiences that you could share with us? How actually visitors react to the experiences you provide them with?
So the reactions are different, also depending on the country. Some people are more emotional than others, depending on the country. But we saw, for example, for the enemy is really a good example because there are a lot of people that at the end are crying, but it was also the case for very different projects. So because people are involved and they are part of the story, as I said before, they really feel something stronger, and so it's a better way to share a message, and it's a better way to um, use the empathy in those experiences, and so people are touched very quickly, and so their reaction are, I mean, they are good most of the time, very good. That's very important for us, of course, and yeah, it's traveling through time is also something very strong, especially when you really feel you are there. When you walk in the pyramid, you really walk inside. It's something very strong, and yeah, people get emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But I would love to also hear from you. What do you think the immersive experiences give us that we don't have in like the, let's say, traditional or like screen-based digital experiences? And how do you see the future developments of such experiences in the context of museums, obviously?
So compared to a screen, it's immersion and interaction. You can have interaction with a screen, of course, but it's different. My opinion, what was the most important is to the immersion is with you, really to act naturally with your body. When you watch a screen, you know that you are watching a screen. It's flat, and I mean you cannot be fooled by that. Compared to virtual reality, for example, where even if you know that it's not real, your senses, they are completely fooled, and that's why you cannot really, make a step in the void because it's not natural to do that, or go through a wall in virtual reality. You don't do it because it's unnatural, and yes. So immersion and interactions are very the 2 main things, and with virtual reality and also augmented reality and mixed reality, which is a kind of augmented reality. And yes, I see them more and more in museums because again, it's about context and context and engagement. That's so important, and I know that museums, they know it already, and they are looking to implement it as quickly as possible now, which is a very good thing. So yes, it's going to be more and more in museums, and also because it's getting cheaper to get this hardware.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And actually, I would love to ask you so many more questions, but we don't have that much time. Luckily, we're gonna talk again in our daily panel. So I hope that then I will have a chance to ask you also more questions that I have in my mind. But there is one more question from our audience member. So, and it's like a very brief question. So please, like also answer it very briefly. Is the expedition to the pyramids available online? Asks our audience member.
It's not available online. It will be, but we focus really on location based, because that's the only way you can have the possibility to walk in a very, very big space. So that's very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fabien. We don't have any more questions for the moment, but I hope some more questions will appear during our daily panel. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being here with us today. And for your inspiring presentation.